Hi, I'm Josh. Welcome to a new video, and today I'll be ranking the albums by Ghost from my least to most favorite. But before doing that, I want to give you a little context of them. They are a band formed in Linköping, Sweden in 2006, and it's kind of a debate what genre do they play, but most of the times I'd say they play rock with some pop, heavy and doom metal touches. Throughout their career they've been known for having these characters known as Papa Emeritus 1, 2, 3, Cardinal Copia, now Papa Emeritus 4, in the frontman roles. All of them interpreted by Tobias Forge, and the rest of the members are known as the Nameless Ghouls. Their identities are unknown. They have released 5 studio albums to date, and today I'll be ranking them all. And as always, remember this is just my opinion. I don't have the universal truth, so feel free to leave yours in the comments below. I'd like to see them. So without further ado, let's go for it. And in number 5, I'll put Impera. Well, I made a video some weeks ago where I said pretty much everything I had to say about this record. You can check it here, I think. But in short, I didn't like it. It's easily their worst. It's an album that's constantly showing you how much wasted potential it has, along with some of the worst tracks and sections they've ever written. But it does have some great songs like Call Me Little Sunshine, Hunter's Moon, and the amazing Respite on the Spitalfields. Truly an excellent song, with a fantastic chorus and a solo that gives me chills, but overall it was a disappointing record. My favorite song is between Call Me Little Sunshine and Respite on the Spitalfields. I really can't choose. In number 4, I'll put Infestissumam, and I like Infestissumam from the very beginning. The intro title track is such a good one, because it lets you know everything that will happen in the album. It'll show you the way the lyrics will be done, the concept, and how the record will sound. Dark, way more churchly, but not as raw as their debut. I think that intro was executed brilliantly, but honestly, with the years I've started to notice the flaws this record has, and not gonna lie, there's a couple. First one comes right after that song, cause it's followed by Pera Spera ad Inferi, and while I can listen to it, I gotta admit it's very close to being a weak song. But then there's a run of 4 incredibly good songs. It starts with Secular Haze, which is amazing honestly. The guitars and keyboards do an amazing job together, and they end up making one of the most haunting moments in their discography. Every single section helps to build the song, and Tobias' lyrics and vocals could not be better. Gigolo Armageddon is the next one, and it has great instrumental, but the lyrics stand out for me. I saw Out Warrior putting this song as their worst, and I could not disagree more, cause I love it. And it also has a really good solo. Then it comes Ghoul Zombie Queen, which is, in my opinion, their first masterpiece. It's simply a flawless song. The first part is beautiful, I love the verse and the keyboard coming after it, and the second part of the song is so good. That chorus is amazing, simply amazing, and that break with the drums and the guitars doing harmonies. Damn! This song is excellent, and to complete the run, Gear Zero, one of my favorite songs by Ghost. Here, it's everything. The riff, the lyrics which I love, the chorus, it's magnificent. It's so big, so huge. It has quite a good solo too, and the bridge on this song is easily one of my favorite ones of all time. The problem I have with this record are the 3 songs that follow: Body and Blood, Idolatrin, and Depth of Satan's Eyes. I think those songs are pretty weak, boring. Probably after such a run they feel worse than they really are. But it's a downgrade that really hurts the album. Luckily, it ends with Monstrance Clock, which is a song I like a lot. It's not good enough to save the second half of it, but it's a good way to end the album. But a point this record has is that the music and lyrics of it really work together along with Papa 2's personality as well as the concept of the record. It's lustful, haunting, and I don't think they'll ever be as sinful as they were in this record. My favorite song on it is Year Zero. It's phenomenal. And next in number 3 we have Opus Eponymous. This album is great. It's dark, worshipful, heavy, scary even. Like when I was getting into Ghost, this record was scary. Some riffs, the lyrics, the synths. I mean, I know an elitist will come and say that's nothing, but songs like Death Knell really freaked me out. But I think that's cool, because this record is scary in a way like classic horror movies were, which totally makes sense, because they are a huge influence to the art Ghost makes. I mean, just take a look at the cover of the album, a reference to Salem's Lot. But something I love about this record is how authentic it sounds. It sounds like you're there in the studio while they're playing. It feels raw, real. I think that adds a point and makes it a special listen in their discography. Cause while I think the records that are coming next are way better, they don't have that early raw quality this album has. And of course, that sound doesn't imply a record is good, but it makes it special. Cause you'll see how they develop their sound with every release until making some of the best albums I've ever listened to. It's the genesis of an amazing band, and they started their career with an amazing debut album. Cause Opus Eponymous is an incredibly solid album with no weak songs. I like pretty much every single one, and there's a bunch I love. Elizabeth, for example. Love that song. It has great lyrics and chorus, and the transitions from the sections are so well done. The solo is really interesting and dark, and damn, those riffs are groovy. Stand By Him is another excellent track. It has such a dark verse and then a beautiful chorus. It's incredibly catchy. Those changes from dark to pretty are so well done. Like, they cannot be better, and make this song so special not only in the album, but in their discography in general. And the last track, Genesis, easily one of my favorite endings for an album ever. The lead guitars are fantastic to say the least, but the synths do an amazing job too. And that transition to the acoustic final part, gorgeous. I wish that acoustic part lasted longer, cause wow. What else can I say about it? I love this album. I absolutely love this album, and there's really no flaws on it. It's 34 minutes of really good music. In terms of a debut album, you won't find many as good as this one. Very few times you'll find a band or artist with such a distinctive, established sound in their first record. And my favorite song on it is Ritual. It has some great riffs, a chorus I cannot avoid singing to, lyrics I love, great song. Okay, next one, in number 3, Meliora. This album is excellent. It's simply extraordinary, and I want to start talking about something I love on it, the drums. The drums in it are fantastic. The snare sounds great, but the toms have a low, deep, but still clear sound that makes the drums on this album feel huge. Cymbals sound really good too. And this album has incredible drum performances. Pretty much every song has a crazy display of drumming at some point. And I really like that. It shows how much a drum beat, feel, or break can add to a song. From the Pinnacle to the Pit has to be one of my favorite samples on it. It's impossible not to headbang to the rhythm the drums and the bass create on that song. Cyrus and Majesty have really similar drums, but they showed that deep low sound I'm talking about. It makes the song so heavy. It sounds huge. It adds such a groove that it's impossible to not move my head to them. But of course the low end is nothing without the bass, and bass on this album could not be better. I think Cyrus has a great bass. In the intro it does a pretty good job, but in the main riff it's amazing. It gives a strength and deepness to every beat that makes it so goddamn heavy. But of course From the Pinnacle to the Pit is the highlight moment for the bass in the album. That riff is one of the sickest, heaviest riffs I've heard in my entire life. It's been 4 years since the first time I've listened to it, and it still has the same effect on me. Guitars, I love them. Cyrus is a song where every section on it has some of my favorite guitar work ever. The intro is brilliant. The way the rest of the instruments slowly join, the distortion kicks in, it's amazing. Main riff, heavy as hell. I love that riff with all my heart. The melodic part near the solo, I love it too, and the solo is fascinating. I mean, it really blows my mind how good this song is. Has beautiful guitar work on it. The main riff is gorgeous, and I love that, because it helps to build an accurate portrayal of the devil. He's not a red creature with horns. He's described as beautiful, and I think the lyrics help to build that idea. The solo of this song, I love it too. It's simple and short, but it's also so pretty. The main riffs in Majesty and Mommy Dust are also great examples of guitar work in this album. Oh, and talking about Mommy Dust, the keyboard solos in that song and in Cyrus are absolute fire. Vocals on Meliora could not be better. Every performance is so good. Verses, choruses, pre-choruses, bridges. They're for the most part excellent. Biggest examples, Cyrus as a whole, the last choruses of Majesty and His, the verses from the Pinnacle to the Pit, and choruses from Absolution and Deus in Absentia. This album is seriously filled with great vocal lines, Plus, I love the way Tobias decided to interpret Papa 3. His singing style is completely different to the ones Papa 1 and 2 had, and it showcased how much he had improved from the past two records. Lyrics are just as good, not only creative and effective, but they are so interesting that they trap you and get you into them. I find myself singing them with such a passion, and they work so well under the general theme of this album, the absence of God. The only flaw I think this album has is the spirit, because it's such a weak start for an album. It can throw many people away if they decide to give it a listen. It feels like Infestisumam leftovers, but I gotta say I love its intro. A final note, I absolutely love the cover art of this album. Again, one of my favorites. Meliora is an excellent album, but I think it has a couple weak moments, so that's why I put it in number 2. My favorite song on it is without a doubt Cyrus. That may also be my favorite song by Ghost. And now, number 1 by far and without a single doubt, Brickell. If you ask me what's an album I consider flawless, the answer is this one. I truly think this album is perfect, and there's only one other album I consider perfect, which is Dark Side of the Moon. I think those two are incredibly excellent albums, but focusing on Brickell, I can confidently call it a masterpiece, because every single song on it is fantastic, I swear. Through the 41 minutes it lasts, you won't find a single moment that isn't great. This album doesn't waste any time and it starts with the right foot, because Ashes is such a good record. It sets the mood for the lyrics, music and concept of this record. If you can do that in a minute and 20 seconds, let me tell you, you're amazing. Plus the transition it makes to Rats, damn, it's so good. And talking about Rats, that song is freaking great. Like, that song is so freaking good, it gave me one of my favorite shirts ever. Rats. It has an amazing pre-chorus, great drums, and one of the sickest riffs Ghost has ever written at the end of it. And I can say the same about Faith. Faith has such a sick main riff, like seriously. And also really good solos, melodic and fast at the same time. Super impressive and effective, as well as lyrics I love. And I wanna give a mention to the very ending of Faith, because that transition from Faith to See the Light was the reference I had while making that transition from A Trip into the Mind to Someone in the Woods. Cool fun facts about my music. And now that I mentioned lyrics, this album puts you in a medieval context when the Black Death was around, using it as a metaphor in many songs, from the devastation something like a disease can cause in rats, to knowing you may be about to die, so let's have fun and dance macabre, while also exploring topics of life and death in which God, the devil, faith and religion play a part on, and it ends up being really interesting. Super well done. This record has an insane amount of lines that stuck with me since the very first listen, like the second verse from Faith. And I like how this album has songs with clear messages, but you get to interpret them in your own way. The metaphors and lyrics behind each line. And well, the vocals in this record are simply the best ones in their discography in my opinion. And I gotta point out how much I love the singing style Tobias Forge created for the Cardinal Copia character. It's so unique and has such a personality compared to the other ones. It's a bit more nasal and with an accent I wouldn't know how to call, but if you listen to See the Light and Pro Memoria, especially the verses, you'll see what I'm talking about. That's for the character, but the performances are amazing. I think Tobias has improved a lot as a singer since Opus Eponymous, allowing him to do great performances, like Life Eternal. That song to this date gives me chills because of the amazing vocal performance it has, especially in the last part of it. And since we were talking about vocals, I'll also include the choir vocals, because they are excellent. And they're the reason why so many sections are so incredible. The ending of Pro Memoria and Life Eternal, for example. This album has some of the most effective vocal sections I've heard in my life. Now, the instruments. I especially love how they all get to shine in different moments of the record. I swear, every instrument has at least a little section to shine. Guitars are great. Aside from the moments I've mentioned, I can also name the riffs in See the Light, the solo in Dance Macabre, the one in Pro Memoria, pretty much everything in Miasma and Helvetens Fenster. I think the rhythm guitar work on those two is insane. Oh, and those parts at the end of Life Eternal are delicious. This album has great rhythm and lead guitars in every song. They couldn't have been better, cause sometimes you don't need crazy riffs or solos to make a section work. Sometimes the rhythm or arrangements you can add are better for the song. And that's something guitars in this album did insanely good. but the drums in this album are also insanely good. They sound great, and I like how unexpected they can be. For example, in Rats, you don't know what they'll do next, and I really like that. They're very creative, and overall they try not to fall in boring, repetitive patterns. The pre-chorus of Rats has really cool drums, but of course you gotta be simple sometimes, so take a look at Promemoria. It's a song where drums cannot be that crazy. They're pretty chill at the beginning, but as the energy builds up, drums do too, and together with the synths, I think they do a great job of building up the song. But I think the best moment for the drums is Miasma, cause they are fire on that one. Some of the really good examples are Helvetens Fenster, See the Light, and Witch Image. That one has amazing drums. The bass on this album may not be in your face, but it's subtly making the low ends be huge. If you take away the bass from songs like Faith, you'll see how important it is to the body of the song. The bass is essential in music, but I don't think people talk enough about how essential the bass is in this record. But my favorite bass moment on it is probably Miasma. Not only because it's the moment where it gets to shine the most, but it also has such a groove, a body, an energy, a power. Other moments I gotta mention are the chorus of See the Light and the verses of Life Eternal and Witch Image. And finally, piano, keyboard, and synths on this album, which I think are phenomenal. They make the song sound so majestic it's crazy. Miasma and Helvetens Fenster may be the biggest examples of that. Miasma is an impressive display of them all. That part around the 2.12 mark makes me touch the sky, and that keyboard solo at the middle of Helvetens Fenster blows my mind. Life Eternal as a whole and the ending of Promemoria are also really good examples. I find fascinating how much they add to the songs and how magnificent they make them. I mean, if it's not obvious at this point, I love Brickell. I love Brickell like I love very few albums. I can count with my right hand how many albums I love this much. I couldn't believe how good it was when I first listened to it. I still can't, and I can confidently say it changed my life. It still amazes me every time I listen to it. It's been 4 years of listening to this record, and I don't find myself slightly tired of it. Even when I know every single note that's being played, every lyric, I truly think I've enjoyed everything it has to offer. I still find myself enjoying it every time. I don't even know how does it do that. But I think that shows how much value to be listened again it has. Plus, it has the perfect length for an album, 40 minutes. And it's just an extraordinary experience. In my opinion, the best rock or metal album from the 2010s, by far. One of my favorite albums ever. It was a turning point in my life, and I definitely recommend it. It's one of the best listens the past decade gave us. Choosing a favorite song on this record is really hard because it has many songs I consider masterpieces, but today I'm gonna go with Promemoria. That song is mind-blowing. And well, those were all the albums by Ghost ranked. I think they have a pretty solid discography, have released great albums, and are among the highest quality bands out there right now. I love them, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. Check my first album, Downwards, if you haven't yet. It's available everywhere, but you'll have the Spotify link in the description for you to go check it. I really appreciate you too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. I've been waiting for years, hoping there's still a chance that you'll come visiting someday. Don't care if the cars are rusty, the ball is black, you can still pretend it's fun at least for a life.